Good afternoon, Britain. It is 10 to 1, and migrants who've been fighting deportation from the United Kingdom received more than £70 million in legal aid over just 5 years.
Yes, new figures show that legal costs totalled £71 million between 2019 and 2023. That's about £38,000 a day.
Well, a huge asylum backlog puts further pressure on the government, with hundreds of illegal immigrants arriving every single week. Channel crossings have grown by about 10% to this time compared with last year, although last year was lower than the year before, but the figure has already exceeded 4,000 this year.
Well, let's speak to human rights lawyer David Haig. David, thank you very much for joining us. Great to speak to you again. Lots of people will look at this figure and be quite shocked. £71 million spent on essentially fighting deportations.
Good afternoon to you both. I mean, I'd like to say I was surprised, but I'm surprised it's not higher. I mean, one of the things that's certainly going to happen when the Rwanda Bill becomes law, which it will do soon, is that this figure is going to significantly increase. But I'm not surprised at the figure that we're discussing today, because asylum seekers on their appeals are entitled to legal aid.
And so you think that this bill will increase because it'll be more complicated legal work to challenge Rwanda deportations, or that people will be more just lodging more complaints in general, lodging more appeals?
I think one of the things that you're going to see is that when it becomes legislation, you're going to see a lot of legal actions on not just the asylum, the technical individual asylum cases, but the larger principle on whether it's in contravention with our laws and then the international laws that we have. And I think that majority of that will probably be legal aided, and that means the figure's going to go up and up.
Now, Robert Jenrick and Suella Braverman raised this, just two politicians who raised the issue of the appeals process, saying that Rwanda Bill isn't strong enough to stop the merry-go-round of legal appeals, I think is what they called it. And you clearly agree, then, that this bill is not strong enough to prevent, tons of appeals being launched?
Absolutely, I think that's what I've said before, that's what's going to happen in terms of legal in terms of legal work, because you're going to see an awful lot more. I think a lot more challenges with this legally from the larger side, but also individual cases as well, until there is clear precedent as to whether or not, once this legislation is on the books, whether or not it can be challenged, and if so, how. And that is coming. That's something that's a few weeks away that we're going to very much see. So. The money's the cost of the taxpayer, I'm afraid, is definitely going to go up.
And David, you say that a large majority of this will be legal aided. What's the difference between the sort of claims that can receive legal aid versus those that can't? Can any illegal migrant who's just arrived in the UK claim legal aid?
I think that what you need to, effectively, once so for instance, if the Foreign Office basically declines their application, then the answer, Tom, is essentially yes. And legal aid has always been a controversial area, because the legal aid is available to a lot of people, which many understandably would think should not be getting that. We remember the case perhaps of Shamaya Begum, obviously not an asylum case, but when other people, perhaps hardworking British taxpayers, can't get legal aid. So legal aid in general needs to have a review. It's long outdated for review, but this is one of the areas where we see the real problems in legal aid, because people that a lot of people expecting shouldn't be getting it are, and people that should don't. But one thing is for certain, the bill is going to go up.
Wow. And what if there's a case for sort of limiting the amount of legal aid one person can have, or the amount of appeals they can launch and get legal aid for that? They can fund it themselves after a certain amount of time. But thank you very much, human rights lawyer David Haig.
On that cheery note.
On that cheery note.
Well.